Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting and scintillating episode of the Chocolate Bros podcast with Adam and Brian.
And Brian, don't forget the Bri guy.
Yep, and our wonderful guest host, our great friend, team member, customer, soulmate. I'm gonna go with soulmate, David Anijo, on the call with us as well. How you doing, Brian? How you doing, David?
David Anijo in the house. Good to see David. Good to see you, Adam. And before we let David get into it, I just want to remind everybody that fortunatochocolate.com is the place where you can go to buy the amazing products. We have everything in stock right now. We won't for long. Stock is getting thin as Christmas approaches, and the USPS is beginning their annual shenanigan fest as relates to delivery times for Christmas. So if you're thinking about Christmas chocolate, I want to urge the folks listening to get that order in pretty darn quick here. David, how you doing today? Oh, go ahead, Adam.
Hello, Chocolate Bros. I waited.
There he is.
Coming in
My
hot.
bros, Chocolate Bros. How you doing there, guys? I'm doing great. How are you all doing?
Doing great. I wanted to tell a quick anecdote about the USPS. What's the name of the guy who brings the van over? Is it Stan? I think the guy's name is Stan. There's Jeff. Jeff is one of our postmen, and then another one is Stan.
So Stan, yeah, he's a younger fella, and he doesn't come in a USPS vehicle. He comes. I don't know if it's his or if
It's not. No. It belongs to USPS.
So they have just regular car looking non-marked minivans, like just a Dodge, like a 7-year-old Dodge minivan that they drive around picking up packages, which I find, and he's not in uniform either. This looks like just a schmo off the street just came by, but he's a good guy. He's doing hard work and a hard job.
I bet, yeah, Stan appreciates you describing him as a schmo off the street. He's a professional, Brian.
If Stan is listening to this podcast, then I will retract my schmo comment. All he has to do is let me know.
Yeah. So he came over in his van. And by the way, he mentioned that sometime maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, we filled up that van to the rafters, and you actually had to fill up your own car.
Yeah, we filled the USPS van absolutely as full as it could get full. And then because he was understaffed and said, there's no way I can take this over and come back, not with my other pickups, I basically said, all right, look, let's load my car. I'll follow you over to the post office, and then I'll help you unload yours. You help me unload mine. He called ahead and got the racks, the parcel racks that we needed all lined up and ready to go. And we got it done. We had 500 or something orders to go out that day, and it filled my car and his, and my car was a little squirrely driving over there from the weight. It was a bunch of chocolate.
So I saw Stan the other day.
Mm-hmm.
He was standing out in front of our shop here in Issaquah, Washington, smoking a cigarette, looking haggard. And somebody in the shop said, "Hey, that's the postman." I looked out there. I had never met him before. I said, "That's the postman." He's just looking haggard, 5 o'clock shadow, smoking a cigarette, looking totally burned out on life. And I went over and talked to him, and he said that at least at the Issaquah branch, the USPS is in dire straits. They're totally understaffed. It's been like Christmas all year long, basically.
Yeah.
People are turning in their badges and walking off the job. So that does not bode well for the logistics of what's going on in this country right now.
It does not. No, we're gonna have to find a non-USPS solution to delivering these packages.
But what he said is the other carriers are just taking their stuff to USPS too. Amazon, FedEx, they're all just dumping their stuff on USPS.
Yeah, I just had a run in with Leo, our UPS driver over here, and we kind of almost ran into each other. We not intentionally. He's trying to make his deliveries, and I was coming back from taking orders over to the shop, and we kind of ran into each other, and we got into a playful sort of argument. Me and him have a playful relationship, but he also is looking a bit haggard. I mean, there's just no way around it. In the modern world where it's hard to attract and retain talent, those companies are having a tough time attracting and retaining talent, and they're getting more packages than ever. And we're already starting to see systemic cracks. The USPS this last week, when we put a lot in, all their tracking showed each package that had gone out as having been delivered 2 months previous to various locations. So if it was going to New Jersey and it left on October 29th, or November 23rd, it showed as having been delivered. All of them showed as having been delivered on August 6th to various locations: Michigan, Alabama, New Jersey. Their tracking system's messed up. Their people are haggard. They're smoking cigarettes. And this guy, Stan, has a college degree in the sciences. And I talked to him a little bit, and I'm not sure why he's doing what he's
I think
doing.
he's a man. He said he was a manager. David, did you meet Stan? Did you see Stan out there?
I don't believe, if I did, I don't recall the name. I would have to obviously see the face again.
You remember the guy who's driving like a green Dodge minivan?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, David is a little bit of an elitist. He's not a man of the people like us. He doesn't really talk to the post guy when he comes by.
Yeah.
He just sort of like snaps his fingers and says, "Hey, buddy, you pick up the stuff. Come
Yeah,
on."
These boxes ain't these parcels ain't gonna ship themselves.
These parcels ain't parceling themselves, buddy. Make it happen.
And also you'll notice looking at David that he always takes a shirt that's one size too small. So it makes him look jacked.
Oh, come on. This guy's jacked up. Look at David. This guy's a physical. David is a physical specimen. David Anijo's got this. You're yoked, buddy.
Well, I was almost 300 pounds about a year and a half ago. So
And how much are you now?
216, 217, about that.
And what was the secret to trimming? I'm sure a lot of our listeners would like to know about some of the magic.
I think just changing when I was eating, because I don't eat a lot of solids. I'm more of a liquid yogurt kind of not solid food eater. Maybe once a day, a little snacking. Changing when I ate. Sleep is always good for you, and I do a lot of core exercises since I can't do any running or jumping or weightlifting. So I do a lot of core in the car, sitting down while I'm riding, and it's helped.
And you know what's amazing too is you eat probably more chocolate than any person I know, other than me, other than me. And you still during this period have lost 86 pounds. That's unbelievable.
Right, but I offset it with all the cacao nibs. So
high protein.
I'm able to do that.
It's all that good manganese and magnesium. You know, his system is coursing with manganese at him, and that'll keep you slim.
And he's always in a great mood. And cacao is a natural has minerals that.
But wait a minute, isn't there something to that? Isn't being upbeat and in a great mood, doesn't that kind of burn calories and just keep you in a positive frame of mind, which keeps your body in a positive?
I think so.
No, I think there's something to that, right?
I think, if you're looking at it holistically, there's a self-esteem part too.
Yeah.
That if you have high self-esteem, you're usually going to be happier, and you'll take care of your body. And Brian, I know you've got a self-esteem that's out of control, obviously, but
far more self-esteem than most people would say is merited.
No,
yes.
but I like David's an extremely loving person, and he's well loved by his family, and that makes you feel good about yourself, and would be a good motivator to try to get in shape and stay healthy and stuff.
Well, what David said just a second ago really resonates with me, because I've been on a fitness and weight loss kick, and have got sort of renovated my my body a little bit over the last 6 months. And the number one thing, what he just said, is when and what you eat. The when and the what and the how much, obviously controlling the calorie, but the when and the what is super duper important, at least for my body. And the great thing is, sounds like you've learned some things about how your body works, and you know that chocolate does that body good, and you've figured out some ways to eat and some times to eat, some rhythms that are working for you to the point where you've lost a bunch of weight. It's great. Just great to hear, good to hear.
Thank you. And I got to say though, Brian, you're looking good. Every time I see you, you're looking better and better. I don't know what you're doing, but you maybe write down some exercise tips for me. I'll give it a whirl.
I tell you what, we got a little love fest going here, Adam. You want to log off just a second? Me and David need to talk.
We're looking. No, I'm going to just throw myself in here too. We're looking good, honestly. All three of us.
You're looking good too, Adam. Absolutely.
We're in the best shape of our lives. We're on top of our game.
That is actually true. I believe I looked at some old IDs. I'm now at the weight that I was when I got out of high school. So I'm at fight and trim right now, and it takes a lot of discipline.
So I haven't been this weight since 2009.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm also fit for my age and size. And I'll just, since we're on this topic, I'd say another thought for everybody is to you can do whatever you want, as long as you do it in moderation, and you're cool about it. Like, you can eat some chocolate, you can have some ice cream, you can enjoy yourself, but don't binge out, and don't do it like right before bed and stuff. Like, be reasonable with everything that you do. And then you can do whatever you want. Yeah, go ahead, David.
So I will say that I don't know if I eat more chocolate than anybody else you've seen. I just, in moderation, get to nibble on a little every day. So
It may just be that he eats more chocolate in front of you
Yeah, maybe.
than anybody
Right.
else.
But man, he
there.
brings in like monster Tupperwares of chocolate bark and like huge plates of cookies, and it's like he leaves half and takes half with him.
I know.
so
I just
I
had
don't know
some of
what's
the,
on-
I was just at the store delivering orders, and I just had some of the bark that David brought
How
in
good
to
is that?
store
Dude? The
oh,
walnut bark.
it's fantastic. And I also had some, and if anybody's listening and thinking about going to the store, Javier. Now can we give a couple of minutes of talk to Javier? This guy is
Yes.
a genius.
He's the best.
He's the best. This guy is creative beyond all measure. He's going crazy with that panning machine. He's panning different kinds of nuts with different kinds of chocolate and different kinds of ratios. He's got all kind of good ideas. He's making crazy marshmallow confections. So now I just had his s'mores that he made. Have you tried one of those?
Oh, I had one. I had him yesterday.
Oh my goodness. I got to give this thing a double thumbs up. This is an A+ home run. And I'm not that big into the sweets. I don't love the sweets that much, but
Yeah.
this s'more was out of sight. I mean, it was out of sight.
It's you know what I liked? I had it too. David had one too. It was very well conceived.
Because normally if you the further you take it away from the campfire, it's not that great. But this was cooled down and ready for retail sale. And it was amazing.
Yeah. I like that he took a s'more and covered the whole thing in chocolate.
So
You put it in a bag. We're selling them in our store. I mean, it's really unexpected. And he's doing all this stuff on his own initiative. We bought him some machines and said, hey, Javier, you can make whatever you want. And he's making all kinds of stuff.
I mean, next step, we got to get this set up in a commercial kitchen type environment, and
we're going to
start shipping this stuff.
We will.
I mean, we don't have the volume. Yeah, David.
I will say that Javier has absolutely inspired me. I've never thought I would make any kind of a truffle or chocolate delicacy, but so last night I molded up 96, 47%. A dark milk molds, made a whole bunch of different types of really cool candies. I don't call them candies; they're chocolate.
It's all right. You can call them candies. It's cool.
Okay, but it's just chocolate. There's nothing else in them. But I mean, him making what he has really has inspired me to start making more things, and I think I might have improved on the walnut squares.
Those are already very delicious. It'd be hard. Oh, but you said you added more walnut. So
yes.
Yes.
Well, I'll say Javier is super creative, very talented, and also one of the nicest guys.
Sweet. So I've known Javier for probably at least six or 7 years. But I didn't know he was a foodie, and I didn't know he was a gifted culinary person until maybe 3 years ago, because he had a home business selling cakes. He had a cake business that he sold out of his house, and he built up a pretty good following. But what he didn't like is that people were coming and knocking on his house door at all hours of the day, asking if he could make a cake. And so he had to bail out of that business.
That is uncomfortable. Yeah.
We're blessed and lucky to have Javier, man. What a great guy.
Absolutely. And by the way, Adam, so let's expand this discussion out because this brings something to mind for me, which is, all right, we've been in the chocolate business for 13, 14 years now. We're just brand new into the retail side of it. We're just a couple of years into the selling to the public of it. But this is something that I'm on some forums and people asking this all the time. And I bet some of our listeners are interested in. You've talked before about this idea of like propagating different retail stores based on our chocolate. Could we just talk a little bit about what does it take to get into business? Let's expand on that idea, because it's interesting to me.
It is. All right. But before, there was one other thing I just wanted to talk about that will help us dovetail into this.
Okay.
I don't know if you have been on our website recently, Brian, to see some of the well, you see a lot of the reviews that come through.
Oh, I see. Well, I get a notification of every review. Right. I actually see every single review.
We're getting some of the most heartwarming, touching 5-star reviews. Like I could cry reading those reviews, honestly, man.
You don't cry when you read those reviews?
I'm tearing up right now just thinking about it. And you mentioned the retail store. Those you wouldn't see, because I get the notices. We've got 7 5-star reviews on Google right now. Just the sweetest, nicest stuff. And I was having a conversation earlier with David. It's a little surreal talking about how do you get into the chocolate business. It's just still surreal that we started something from scratch, and now people love it and leave us 5-star reviews.
is.
Like,
But, like,
it still almost doesn't feel real, to be honest with you. I mean, it's so awesome and so cool.
Can I read one review, Adam, that I think
Please.
people would like to
Which
hear?
are you reading? Are you doing a Google review or are you doing it from the website?
No, from a website review.
All right.
I don't even see the Google reviews. I
I'll
don't
read a
know
Google.
anything
I'm
about
going to bring
it.
up a Google review.
So this one really caught my eye. There's I mean, I could read a dozen right now. They're so amazing. And I'm so heartfelt. I'm so really grateful. But this was one from Richard Langdon. It came in 14 hours ago. This is a 5-star review of our Fortunato number 4 dark chocolate, 68%. The title, When Something is the Best. And the review says this: I'm generally a pretty simple person. I don't try to outdo anyone else just to compete. I like to think I can just keep doing and being a bit better today than I was yesterday. Then every once in a while, I come across someone or something that is really remarkable. The best I've encountered or that I can imagine. Fortunato number 4 chocolate is like that. Perfect. I have no way to know that, but I do know it's easily the best chocolate I've tasted. On top of that, I sincerely like what I continue to learn about the family who make it and how they choose to do business. Some things are worth buying because they're good enough for the money, a decent value. Other things are worth buying because they are done in a way that brings good into the world, a good cause. Fortunato number 4 chocolate is both these and more. I'll be a customer and a fan, letting this amazing chocolate make any day just a bit better than the day before.
So
how amazing is that? Thank you, Richard. I don't know if he's a listener, but my gosh, thank you
just
so much, Richard Langdon. That really makes me feel great.
It's unbelievable. And so you're talking about how do you get into the chocolate business? I think, you know, it might be interesting, and I'm going to read a Google review here in a second. And also David just dropped off. I'm sure he'll join us again.
I see that.
Maybe
yes.
something happened with his internet, but
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty crazy that sometime 14 years ago, you have a conception of something, right? And then over the course of more than a decade, it builds itself up, and it culminates with the fact that people write us these really sweet messages. We're a part of their life. They appreciate what we do. Here's a Google review. This is one that was left just 30 minutes ago. Okay. I've been a diehard, lifelong See's candy fan all my life, but Fortunato chocolate has made a trader out of me. The chocolate peanuts and the solid dark chocolate. By the way, Javier makes the chocolate peanuts, and it was his idea.
You sure? And they're great. They're so good.
Yeah, they are delicious. The chocolate peanuts and the solid dark chocolate are absolutely to die for. And who doesn't love going in for a free, yes, 100% free all the time, forever hot chocolate? Definitely going to be a return customer. So there you go. What's interesting about that is, like, we just had an idea that we could put up a shop. You're back, David. And then we did a month ago, and now people come in and buy stuff and leave reviews for us. It's the whole thing is just crazy that we've been able to do that, and it's the most fun and just the most unexpected thing. So thank you, everybody. And now we'll start talking about, and by the way, you know, the way we hooked up with David is David was a customer, and I wrote an email to our customer list saying, if, you know, like, we needed some help with some stuff, and David wrote back and said, hey, I want to get involved somehow. And now he's working with us. So all of this stuff has been unbelievable and extremely rewarding and satisfying and totally unexpected and unforeseen. Go ahead, David.
I will say, so the number one thing to get, you know, a chocolate shop going is try the chocolate first.
Make sure the chocolate is good enough to really make the people want to buy it, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, good enough to reach out. I mean, that's really what it boiled down. I reached out to you because I believed in what you were doing, the project how you were doing it, and of course, just the taste of this chocolate. Absolutely amazing. That's the number one way to get started.
So I guess, you know, if you want to talk about how to get a successful chocolate business going, one of the probably the most important thing would be make really good chocolate, have really good stuff. Yeah.
Yes. By the way, there's something to that, man, because there's just a lot of businesses that are built. Okay, so I'm going to just drop a name in the chocolate industry that I don't think they're even around anymore. If they are, their profile has gotten considerably lower than it once was. But there was a chocolate company, a little bit controversial, some years ago, called the Mast Brothers.
Are they not around anymore? They were huge.
I don't know. They expanded into LA and London, and I know at least the LA place is closed, and they may still be selling chocolate. You don't hear anything about them anymore. So the Mast Brothers were a couple of brothers that started a bean to bar. They made chocolate in what they called their chocolate manufactory or something like that. And in Brooklyn, New York, it was a sort of a hipster vibe. And
we sold 10 tons of cocoa beans to them.
We sold them cocoa and cacao, and they made chocolate from it. And I remember, so there was a lot of hype about these guys. And a lot of sort of controversy about whether they really made all their chocolate or whether some of their chocolate was purchased and repackaged. But putting all that aside, they were known for having the best wrappers in the business. And we've talked before, Adam, about how we have gone away from fancy wrapping and we just use Ziploc bags. We save money everywhere we can so that the price is accessible and the flavor can shine. But what these guys chose to do was literally commission artists to make one-off packaging for them in this really expensive foil and paper and expensive presentation and all this kind of stuff. And I remember, and we had sold them cacao, and their reputation was growing. They were expanding into London and LA. And I came to Seattle a few years before I moved back to the country, and I was visiting with you and your family. My family was visiting your family, and we found ourselves in Pike Place Market, and we went into a store there. And we had the amazing experience of finding chocolate made with our beans.
That was the first time that had ever happened.
First time we'd ever gone into a retail store, and we found chocolate made with our beans from like 4 different brands in there. And we were so excited.
And this would probably be like 8 years ago or something.
Yeah. And we decided to buy a Mast Brothers bar, not made with our beans, a bar from the Mast Brothers.
I remember that.
It was Papua New Guinea or some other.
And Papua New Guinea is a weird origin anyways, because it always tastes so smoky, but
yeah. And so we opened the thing and we tried it, and the chocolate was absolutely awful. I mean, it was just inedible. And the only conclusion that we could draw was that they had a container of beans that went bad, got moldy in transit or went bad, but they couldn't afford not to make chocolate from them because it would have bankrupted them, because you spend so much money on a whole container of beans. And so they decided it's going to be less damaging to our company to sell this rotten chocolate than it would be to take the hit and not make chocolate out of these beans. But that's, I guess, what I'm talking about is, boy, oh boy, that was a place. They were known for non-flavor things. They were known for other aspects of their chocolate. They were known for themselves and their beer.
Well, and I remember
factory
and the
their
retail
wrappers, but their chocolate was just not good.
Yeah, and the retail shops that they opened up were like big art galleries. And the
exactly.
art was the packaging on the chocolate bars.
That's right. That's right.
So
but when it came down to it, after what David said, all form of no substance, what David says holds exactly true. After that one experience, I would never go back and buy another one of their bars, or I wouldn't even taste a free bar of theirs.
Can we agree, though, that a lot of times these companies are masking the quality or the lack of quality by either the packaging, those that are promoting it, the type of advertising. So
yeah, for sure, and distribution, and they just are able. They have shelf space on grocery stores,
right?
So just gives them an advantage. People are at the store anyways.
And that's the thing, when you sell to a grocery store, the margin is so razor thin that you can't afford to. If you spend the money to buy the beans, you have to sell chocolate from those beans. You have no choice. Right. Financially, it's a death blow to your company if you don't. So even if they get some beans that are suboptimal, if they get some chocolate that's suboptimal, they have to move the product. And it showed. I mean, only a company that was facing a decision of whether to live or die would have sold that chocolate that I tried. It was just that bad. But and by the way, I never met the Mast Brothers. I don't know them personally. And they may have made some really great chocolate at some point that I never got a chance to try. This isn't meant to be a slam on them. It was
just that one bar.
It's more meant to highlight what you said, David, which is, hey, bottom line, the product has to be great.
So and
has to be great.
And here I can say with all humility and all honesty that the person who is responsible to a large extent, I mean, not the only person, but at least the person at our company who is most responsible for the quality of our chocolate is right here on this call. It's my brother, Brian.
David and Eho. Thank you so much, David.
No, Brian. I bring the heat. I don't bring the.
Yeah.
Well, but
hot. That's it.
But in turn, what I do is manage our Peru operations, which depends on 500 farmers and their families doing a great job at what they do. And now that I'm not managing the day-to-day operation of the bean processing facility, Melquiades and Oscar and Noe and all the people that are working hard, and Mono and Norville and all the people that are working hard in Peru, it depends on all of them just as much. It was sort of me at the beginning driving it, but it's since become much bigger than that. And so without that whole background, then none of this is possible. And then the great folks at Falkland, obviously, to make it. But yeah, so item one, yes, David, but But there are plenty of companies that have a great product that don't make it. So Adam,
so hold on.
Start before that.
I just want to point out. So the reason I mentioned that, I just want to,
Mm-hmm.
if we're going to take it back to the beginning, we're talking about how to get going how to get a chocolate business going.
Mhm.
I mean, before you get any business going, one of the very key fundamental things is to just have a dedication to put out something that's of high quality.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
do that. That's a good place to start, because everything that follows, like, you're going to have to go out and sell stuff. And me and David are pretty involved in that, but
Mhm.
it's so much easier to have the conviction. There's a guy that I like, I forget exactly what he said, but he said, usually the person who, if two people are together, the person who will influence the other one is the one that's more certain. Certainty is what influences. And
Mhm.
in order to have the certainty that you need when you're calling on people and you're going to try to sell something or you're going to promote something, it helps. I mean, it's so helpful to know that the thing you're certain about is the real deal.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
if they agree to buy it from you, they're going to be super happy with their purchase.
Right.
That's
Right.
really fundamental. So step one to starting a chocolate business, whatever you got to do, make sure that you are dedicated to putting out a very high quality product.
And so that in the chocolate sense, that means, and this is what all chocolate makers and chocolatiers go through in order to establish the foundation of their business. You got to have a great supply of ingredients. So that means that for the chocolate maker, you got to go out to the field and find those beans. You got to get those beans, and you got to, and most of them want the credibility of dealing directly with suppliers. So they don't want to buy small amounts through brokers. It costs more, and it's hard to sell. So they need to actually go and find the co-ops and associations and farmers that they're going to work with. And actually, so if you're thinking about that, like from the chocolate making perspective, you got to have great beans, and that means you're going to have to pay a premium price to a company that's directly to a cacao growers association, co-op, or some other entity, or a company that deals directly with them and can give you consistent, high quality beans that have a good flavor potential and low defect rate. That's item one. And then you got to have good cocoa butter and sugar and the other stuff and machinery. But that ingredient, that if the cacao beans aren't great, the chocolate will not be great, cannot be great, cannot even be
Well,
good.
and I know for us, we made sort of a strategic decision to focus on one part of the process that we
Mhm.
knew we could nail, and we weren't scared to, because David, this wouldn't even mean that much to you, and it probably doesn't mean that much to our listeners, but in the little segment of the industry that we were in when we first got started,
Mhm.
it was kind of like people would look down their nose at you or poo-poo you if you had somebody else making your chocolate. There was this
Okay.
movement where you should buy all the machines yourself and make your own chocolate, and if you don't, you're not like a real crafts person.
And the term they used for that was remelter. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll have to say this especially after trying Fortunato, that I found it. I was so appreciative that you took the time to find the right chocolate makers for this Pure Nacional, because what it tells me is you had enough integrity to say, hey, we're not great chocolate makers. We have this rare cacao, and so let's go find the best chocolate makers out there.
And honestly, I can tell you
myself, I appreciate the fact that it went that way.
Yeah, and just looking at where we're at today and what kind of the trajectory that we're on, we didn't know it at the time, but that was probably one of the best decisions we ever made. If we were trying to make our own chocolate right now, it just wouldn't be it. The quality wouldn't be as good, and in a lot of ways, we wouldn't be able to do many of the things that we've done.
Well,
so that ended up being a great decision. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, like, I don't have any doubt really that we could have bought our own machinery and created our own chocolate factory and be making amazing chocolate on our own machines. That
Right.
is doable. Many companies do it. I can think of lots of companies. I'm thinking of one in particular in Peru, run by good friends of mine. It came up in an email chain the other day, and I reached out and spoke with a good friend of mine down there in Peru, and they have gone through and invested and bought their own machinery and gone through 2 rounds of upgrades and a facility upgrade, and they make really
award-winning
good
chocolate. I
chocolate
know who you're talking about.
This is Cacao Suyo, run by my good friend Samir Gia and Eduardo Lanfranco in Peru. If anyone's ever I don't know if they have a presence here in the US now, but if anyone's ever in Peru, I can email me and I can tell you exactly where to go to get all the best Peruvian chocolates. And you should by all means look at Cacao Suyo as one of the best of them. But having said that, and they've done all that, and that was their decision and that was their path. But it means that they're going to dedicate way more of their time and energy to doing that part and way less to doing certain other parts. And so it all has to balance out and everyone's got their own path. But in terms of our path forward, our thought process was there are amazing chocolate factories already in the world, the people who are absolutely expert in making chocolate. Let's let them make it. And let's let us focus on the beans and then bring those two together in a synergy that will create just this great product.
Yeah.
And it worked, and it worked in our case. And it can work other ways, but I'm sure God will get it all right.
You know, there's plenty of highly skilled, highly talented dessert professionals out there who make confections, who make desserts with chocolate. Like they're not in cacao or making chocolate, but they have chosen one part of this game, or you know, one part of this system and this supply chain to be great at.
Right.
And they made it, and they got a dedication to quality. So they buy the best ingredients they can possibly get their hands on. Right. And they focus on one part. So I would also just, I think it's, if I were to look around at a lot of the companies that try to do all of this, well, there really are none that do beans, make their own chocolate, and then also have like a growing, flourishing chocolate selling business. There might be like a handful, right. But it's you got to be a pretty big company with a lot of capital to start with to pull that off.
Right now the logistics of that right now are just darn near impossible.
So I would say really a dedication to putting out a great product, a dedication to using the best ingredients, and then also not feeling guilty about choosing one part of this thing and being awesome at it, and letting other people be awesome at other stuff. And you all could, like you said, you can have a synergistic relationship that brings up the overall quality of the products that are going out there.
It's about strategically choosing partners. Some call it outsourcing. I would say it's strategically partnering with the right people to make sure that they share your values and that the quality is top notch. And so that could be at any part in a business. So if anyone out there is thinking about the chocolate, you know, so those are the questions. Am I going to be on the cacao side? Am I going to be on the chocolate making side? Am I going to be on the confection side? Am I going to be on the getting it out to the public and the marketing and selling it side? Am I going to try to do all of that? Am I going to do 2 or 3 of those, but not all 4 or 5 of them? There's a million ways to go. And like what David was just saying, so he's starting to experiment with doing confectionery. And hey, chocolatiers of the world out there, we love you. We respect what you do. In our part of the industry, like Adam said, there was a little bit of hate towards the chocolatiers of the world. They were called remelters because they didn't make their own chocolate. But you know what? The kind of people that are making chocolate and are super machine fetishists aren't necessarily turning out amazing bonbons and amazing truffles and barks like what David's experimenting on. That's its own skill. And those products are great. I love to eat them. I love putting them in my mouth. I mean, they're so good.
And here's another, if we want to talk about how to be successful in a chocolate business or any other business. Hey, why not put out products that people actually want and like? Right. Yeah. Going back to what we were talking about, where the people were looking down their nose at people who did confections. It turned out that what people really like are making stuff with chocolate, and not necessarily eating just austere, straight 1 or 2 ingredient dark chocolate. Right. People like variety. People like things that are fun. People like things that are light. There's a lot of kids out there in the world that like chocolate, that want to eat a chocolate covered marshmallow or a chocolate covered s'more or whatever, like we make in the store. Like, not everybody in the world is just for a simple high ingredient or a simple like
2 ingredient high cacao.
Yeah, it's same with beer. Like, not everybody just wants an IPA made by a craft brewer. Like, there's a lot of good beer out there across the across the whole varieties. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure kids don't get a chance to try that quality beer.
Yeah. Maybe not your kids.
No, maybe.
Yeah.
But boy, I just lost track.
Sorry.
That's okay. Just remember, I'm a fly back on the wall unless I can remember it again. So continue
Yeah,
on.
I get it. But by the way, David, this brings up something that I just have never asked you because we haven't known each other all that long. But what now, like I've said here before in the show, even though I'm in an industry that values that 76% to just cacao and sugar bar, I personally I like dark milks. I like stuff with inclusions in it. I like bonbons
there
and
you go.
truffles and
Yeah,
stuff. What kind of stuff are you into before and now after getting to know our chocolate? What's your jam when it comes to eating chocolate? What is it that attracts you?
It was always solid chocolate. It was never candy with chocolate on it. That's what Brenda and I prefer. So I don't like nuts in my chocolate. I don't like nuts in fudge or even in pastries until I started eating Fortunato. And it just, it accents the chocolate. It doesn't take the taste over. So for many, many years, I would either eat candy or I would eat solid chocolate, good chocolate, fine chocolate. Not as fine as what I found here in the last year, but I'm enjoying eating nuts and trying different dried fruits or just different concoctions that people are really enjoying too. You know, I get to share these trial and errors, and I haven't had too many errors. I've had a couple, of course, but most of what I'm creating with Fortunato chocolate is it's been amazing. The response has been amazing. And it's like Adam said, it's kind of what people want.
Absolutely. Let me just point out a couple of other things too. Your wife is also a really good cook. She makes really
Awesome
good stuff.
cook.
Brenda's very.
Now you know why I was 300 pounds.
That zucchini bread is no joke. I'll tell you what.
Wait till you try the banana bread, Brian.
I've got a pet theory that all women want to see their husband slightly overweight and with a heat rash on their neck. It's like, I want to see you eating dinner, and I want you wearing a sweater before you leave this house.
Good.
They want to see you eating in. They want to see you warm. I don't know what the deal is. Well, yeah. So, like, another thing would just be cookies. Cookies are awesome. They're delicious.
Yeah.
And they have chocolate in them. But I could tell you, the part of the industry we were in, chocolate chip cookies would have been seen as, for something very frivolous that you wouldn't put fine chocolate in. But you should give people what they want and like, and that includes milk chocolates, that includes cookies, and that includes all kinds of other stuff that is not just austere, very serious chocolate products.
Well, so here's another story about in the chocolate industry, and this is a guy who was a transcendently talented chocolate maker. His name was Colin Gasco. And he had a company called Rogue Chocolate out of Massachusetts. And Colin made everybody that at the top levels of the industry would talk about one or the other of his bars as being one of and even they would talk about the ones that weren't great because he was so audaciously bold in trying to do
and I used to buy his chocolate all the time. I love
it. Rogue made amazing
chocolate. Loved it.
It was purely 2-ingredient high cacao percentage bars, different takes on it with different kinds of beans, small batch from all around the world. And he was absolutely dedicated to the purity of the craft. He ran it out of his garage or his basement, and he did everything himself. And he went through and made sure that there was absolutely no shell left on. I mean, really pouring through it by hand and taking all the time and all the expense to do everything exactly the right way. And Colin was an absolute perfectionist. Now, fair warning, I had a prickly personal relationship with Colin, but this isn't about that. It's about his chocolate. He made chocolate that industry professionals fetishized. I mean, it was absolutely impeccable. It was scrupulously done. And some of it was, like I say, it'd blow the top of your head right off. It was so good. But he went out of business because he couldn't sell enough of those kind of bars at a profitable amount. There's just not that big of a market for that stuff.
And honestly, if you were to give his bars to my son, one of my sons, they wouldn't like it.
No.
Right. So it's not.
You have to have an amazingly discriminating palate to even differentiate it from.
So here's something. Then if you want to talk about how to start a chocolate business, why not set your goal as using your product to make as many people as you can happy?
Yes.
And also on ours, at least for our company, David, I see you raising your hand. Hold on one second. And also on our end too, we've got a whole community of cacao farmers that we are dedicated to working with and helping them improve their lives. So we really have a strong motivation to make as many people happy as we can with our chocolate, because by making people happy and having them enjoy their interaction with us and their experience with us, that lets us do the other part of our mission, which is supporting the cacao farm partners we work with. But why not set as a goal making people happy and creating joy? That's kind of the other side of the coin from creating a piece of art, right? So a guy like Colin, for example, is more of an artist, which I'm cool. I mean, I get it. But in that case, you're really more about satisfying yourself. You're trying to bring a creation in the world that satisfies you.
I don't think he would have disputed that. I think Colin would have
Absolutely.
been on board with that.
And I think most serious artists do art for themselves. But business people who want to have a successful chocolate business have to be in the business of serving others, making products that others will enjoy and be happy with. Of course, you have to navigate within your ethical boundaries,
right.
but still you have to put other people first. I know David had a comment.
Yeah, I have a comment on that, but David, you go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
So one of the great things of promoting Fortunato chocolate is that the boundaries are not great and in excess, because kids of all ages, adults of all ages get to try something that otherwise they may not have had the opportunity to. In other words, this is obviously a world-class chocolate, but to have a 7 or 8 year old be able to taste it,
and that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I mean. Just that we can share this with anybody that loves chocolate. And most kids, I don't know many kids that say they don't like chocolate.
Yeah, but if you give them our dark chocolate, they're probably going to be like, I could take it or leave it.
Yeah,
right.
What I was going to say dovetails perfectly into that, because what some people might interpret what you're saying, Adam, and what I've said for a long time is like, oh, you guys are trying to hit the lowest common denominator, but we're not. We're trying to hit the highest common denominator.
Right.
And that's the difference. Is we don't want to get the lowest level thing that everybody would love. We want to get the highest level thing that most of the people will love. And that's the highest common denominator. And that means that we want to maintain the quality, pay rigid attention to the details, and make it accessible. And so in terms of starting a business, what you just said absolutely applies. Control the quality, make sure it conforms to your own personal quality standards and to the highest ethical standards and business standards, and make sure that it's a fair deal for everybody along the supply chain. And also make sure that a wide range of people, not just really, really knowledgeable, high palate, super foodie people can come into your store to enjoy it, but practically anybody can walk in there and find something to love. And that's the recipe for a business that'll stay alive.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's probably, I'd say, over the last couple of years, probably one of the things I'm most proud of is that we've been able to put out a product, and because of the way that we manage our supply chain, and because of the fact that we focus on substance over form, we've been able to put out a chocolate that's used in Michelin star restaurants. I mean, it was award-winning chocolate that highbrow people used to eat and love and pay top dollar for.
I just sent some to a Michelin starred restaurant the other day. Yeah. They still do got a Peruvian one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we've been able to take that product and give it to mainstream chocolate lovers at a price that works. Which is awesome, because honestly, regular people should get good stuff, and kids too. Here's another thing: a lot of people give kids junk. They give kids junk. It's like they give them cheap junk food, because why? They're not going to appreciate it anyways. But if you could get your pricing right and get your supply chain right and get your product offering right, where you could actually give kids high quality stuff, that's a pretty awesome thing to accomplish. There's something really good about that. And so if we're just laying down some principles, why not do what Brian just said? I like the way you put it too. Why not try to hit the highest common denominator with your product, which is the highest quality product for the highest amount of people, for the largest amount of people? Why not think in terms of that? Like what has to be true for your product to not be either or, but to be both at the same time? both the highest quality and accessible to the largest number of people. There's something pretty awesome in that. Go ahead, David. I can see you're burning up trying to get a word in. I'm sorry.
The wings are like flapping against the wall. So the thing is selling to restaurants and exclusive chocolatiers and chocolate makers, you are limited because obviously not everybody is a fine dining restaurant, doesn't go to restaurants of that caliber, maybe can't afford to, but having this quality available to the public now, what a gracious business mind that you men have to actually honor your product by allowing everybody affordable to everybody or anybody.
And it's so much more fun that way. So
it is fun.
And before we run out of time here, so Brian,
by the way, David, what you just said, Adam gave me props for making it possible before. Let me now give props to Adam. That was all on him. He and his wife, Neri, his lovely wife, who comes from Peru, were the ones who really had the idea to start selling it directly to the public and really drove this idea. And he was right. I full on, I was not like 100% on board. I wasn't against it. I didn't know if it was worth going into, and I didn't know about the market and all this kind of stuff. But in retrospect, you were 110% right, Adam. It was absolutely the way to go. So kudos to you for seeing it. And
can I give both of you kudos my own way?
Yes,
you may.
We're going to give you kudos too, David.
Proceed. Oh, is that a clapping?
I couldn't clap for 10 or 20. So
Nice. For the listeners who maybe aren't watching the video, David had a little red box and a little applause box.
Sound effect. Yeah.
So let me say this as business advice for people who are listening. This applies to chocolate, but this applies to all business. And that is, go ahead and block out a lot of time for promoting even before your product is like 100% fully nailed down. Plan to just spend a bunch of time promoting and do it fearlessly and do it boldly. But what will help you do that is having a great product. I mean, those two things go together. You can't really boldly and fearlessly promote unless you feel great about your product. But I know, one second, David. I know one thing that a lot of people do, and this is probably, we're the same way I'm lucky to have Brian for the quality of our product. He's lucky to have me. I started going out and promoting and selling long before we even know what's going on, and figure out we can make sense of all of the other stuff that we need to make sense of if we find out that we actually have something that can sell. And we just did it with our retail shop too. Like, we opened it up way before it was ready. It's still not ready. but even so, we have people coming in and buying and leaving 5-star reviews and stuff. So I think business owners should plan on promoting and starting to get the word out long before they think they're ready. And if they do that, they'll find that when they actually are ready, they'll have a groundswell of momentum that will then help them take that product that's ready to a much broader audience. Go ahead, David.
You can't do that without having a passion for what you're advertising, what you're promoting. And when you have that passion, it's not selling. It's not, you're just sharing. The promoting is very vital to any
I like
business.
that. Not selling,
He's
sharing.
right.
I love that.
Way,
I've been saying that, Brian. I've been saying that since I started eating this chocolate. I might get rid of 10 or 20 pounds in a week of chocolate, and those customers have paid me, which I take back up to the store. But I'll tell you what, I'm sharing this chocolate
so
with them,
well put.
And they're sharing their appreciation by buying it. That's how I look at it.
So that's
great.
And again, that goes back to making sure you have a quality product that you're proud of. And then if you do have that, that's exactly the right way to put it, David. And honestly, for a lot of people who maybe are nervous about selling or promoting, like that, it makes them feel strange, like they're going to go out and talk to strangers and try to get them to buy something. Reframing it the way you just did that, David. I mean, that's such a nugget of gold. You think of it, you feel so good about this product that you're sharing it.
Yes.
You're sharing
You're-
it.
and you know, it's scary. It's scary. It's not easy to, we talked about this, Adam, about making yourself vulnerable, because you're going to get no's. You're going to get not interested. You're going to get, I already am satisfied with X product. That comes with the territory. But if you can accept that and still be passionate about what you're promoting, and the, I'm going to say it, here it comes, the nobility of how you've done everything. Once again, you're just sharing, and they're sharing by supporting you.
That's such a good way to put it. But you got to feel proud about what you're sharing in order to be able to share it that way.
Absolutely.
And so that I think that's the takeaway. If anyone's like thinking about a chocolate business or something, so you got to have that passion. You got to have that. You got to have that passion, and you passion in your product, passion for the product as a broad category, and then what you do with it to put your own stamp on it. And then and you know, I guess this is just, so I'm the ops guy, Adam's the sales guy. David, you're kind of getting into the operational side, but you're also kind of more of a sales and a people person. You need to make sure that you can cover all the roles, or have partners that can cover all the roles in a business sense. And I know we're short on time,
Right.
but like, you know, you may not be you may not be a specialist at doing the admin part and the operational piece and the logistics and the customer service and the sales and marketing. You might, so kind of know yourself and know which parts you're strong in and which parts you're not strong in, and consider creating some kind of a partnership with somebody who can fill those gaps that
Absolutely.
you don't fill. That's also, we're lucky enough to be bros who fill it.
Right.
And also be willing to accept a new bro on the scene to like step in and be part of the team. But, you know, a lot of folks who are maybe thinking about doing it as a one person,
That's a good call.
shop, very few people. I couldn't do this alone.
Well,
I can't tell.
we're actually 3 partners.
We're 3. Yeah, Dan hasn't
Yeah.
been on here, but I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
well, I just can't sell like this. I can't. And what Adam said, I would never open a retail store until it was so far past ready that we'd be bankrupt before we open the door. Like, I would never be able
I know.
to.
And honestly, if I was just doing the sales by myself, I'd probably just be like shipping out USPS boxes from my house, you know. Just have, like, 400
What you were actually doing. That's what you were doing.
just be in like, and I probably would have kept selling during the summer, just be shipping out melted chocolate and stuff. So, and by the way, if you don't have a business partner, which we're lucky enough to have partners and stuff, because we're a family, but consider hiring someone who has a passion for the project, and maybe they'll take a little bit less money than they would otherwise take to fill in your weak spots, because we all have weak spots. And to the extent that you can,
No. Wait a minute. Not David.
Here it comes.
Not David. Not that guy.
Oh,
Look at him. Look at
I
this
thought
guy.
you were going to describe you, Brian.
Yeah.
I had no idea you were going to put my name in there.
his
Come on.
only, you know, David's only weak spot is when you can see he wants to say something, like you said, his wings start flapping. But no, really, and in any, like, we work with 5, like you said, 400 to 500 cacao farm families in Peru. Anything great is built by teams, sometimes really
Yes.
large teams, and there's no shame in asking for help. Really, nothing. Like, and I know a lot of people, when they get into business, that there's some pride in being a rugged individualist who, through my force of willpower, I'm gonna see this thing through. It doesn't work. You need teams, and people definitely got to do what they're strong at and allow others to help them in the areas where they're weak. For sure.
Right.
We were just talking about it before when we were talking about specializing at some point in the chain.
Mhm.
And that applies to interpersonal relationships as well.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100% agree.
So look, we're gonna have to wrap it up pretty soon. Last thing we want to wrap up here is, Brian, if you want to go ahead and give us a little sampling of what our current Fortunato Ford jingle is.
Right. So, okay. So
we've got a variation on it that
I
they
like
put together.
I like jingles, as you know, and you and I have talked about this in the office before. That when we started this, I said we need some kind of an earworm, something that gets in there and digs in. And we'd heard stuff on the radio, and you and I occasionally at the office, Adam, we'd be like, oh, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ow!
Yeah, correct.
And it's got that little ow at the end, and so I just on the
Catchy.
spur of the moment, but I said, hey, how about just something like Fortunato Yum? Because it's got that yum in it, and it says our name, and it could be a potential earworm. It gets in there, and then all of a sudden someone's thinking like, hey, Fortunato Yum. So it never got any more thought than that. And I went online and tried to get some of these Google Music things where you can do it, but I'm just not a musician. I'm no more a musician than I'm a salesman. So it never evolved. It never evolved. And so that's where it came up from. It was just that spur of the moment.
And so one thing I didn't know until until a fairly long way into my friendship with David is that he's a musician.
I had known it until just this moment.
Dave, did you say your whole family is musicians?
Yes. I think a lot of the goodness that came out of me was that our family collectively always played, sang. When we had get-togethers, there would always be a circle of instruments. If we didn't have instruments, we just use our terrible voices, and just the enjoyment of music itself. And we all know what music does for everybody. It's a good thing. It's a positive thing.
Absolutely. All right. So, David, you've worked up a new rendition here.
Just a little
jingle.
Just a little bit of it. So
I am agog. I can't wait.
Yeah. Oh, let's see if I can do this without breaking everything.
Yeah.
I got wires all over the place here.
Are we going to be able to hear this, or are we just going to be hearing it through your microphone, or is this plugged in to the?
Well, no, just try to play it, David, and we'll do a sound check here.
Okay. So if I don't have it plugged in, did I just?
No, we can hear you.
Okay.
We hear you, but just strum a chord on the guitar so we can see if we can hear it.
I think it's a bass as well.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. Can you just give us a little bass, just a
little lick?
Just a lick to see if we can hear the bass? No.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I plug it in.
Oh,
I didn't know if it would interfere with the other electronics. So here we go. All right. Here's the strum.
okay, we can hear it. Yeah, it's not super loud, but we can hear it. It's loud enough.
Okay. Fortunato, yum. Fortunato, yum. Okay. Wait a minute. So the words go. So it goes. Fortunato for Fortunato, yum. Fortunato for it's so good. Now that's just the beginning. I don't want to get too much into it because obviously the bass is not going to come in real. But one of the things I want to keep in this, if possible, is we say yum or it is yum. I gotta have that yum word in there. I can't get rid of it.
I need more yum.
We got to get more. We got to get more.
We're gonna get.
We got to actually do this and record it properly, and then do this as intro and outro to the podcast.
Oh, that's a good idea.
We got to do it. We got to do it. Yeah,
that's a good idea. All right.
Yeah,
I don't know, David. Are you going to be able to figure out how to do a recording, like an actual recorded audio file of that?
Yeah, I actually have a brother who has about 3 or 4 CDs out. So I had planned on going over his house studio and recording.
Right,
let's do it. We'll make it the intro and the outro. So, all right, man. Well, hey, we're going to wrap it up. That's the show. So,
okay. Well, before we go, Adam, if you will just permit me to tell everybody again how much we appreciate your business, and to remind everyone to go on over to fortunatochocolate.com. That's fortunatochocolate.com. You can get your order. Everything's in stock. Our stock is waning rapidly, especially in that 68% dark. So don't sleep, folks. If you are listening to this and you're thinking about ordering for Christmas or just ordering generally, I got to tell you, the stock is we're running out. And because of all the logistics trouble that we've talked with, we may face a gap between when we run out of the current stock and when the new stuff comes in from Switzerland. So if you're thinking about doing it, jump on it now. The USPS is starting to have their Christmas delivery issues. So especially if you're thinking about Christmas, I mean, really do it now. Don't wait. The chocolate is going to be just as fresh if you got it now. You don't have to wait, and you should not wait.
Yeah. And I'll say this, we normally do some advertising, like some online advertising. We're turning it off. And all of the stock that we have, we're turning that off so that we make sure we have enough stock for the people listening to this show, and for our current customers, and for the people who come into the shop. So
That's right.
Like what we have is there for our regular customers and not really so many new customers. So
Right.
if you're listening
if
to
you're-
this, yeah, check
if you're
out
listening to
Fortune
this, I was just say, if you're in the area, don't forget to go over to 1445 Northwest Mall Street, Suite 3 in Issaquah. Check out the retail store because Adam has got that place humming, and
It's fun in there. It's so much fun.
Javier is a great vibe. David's in there a lot. Javier is making some amazing confections. You can see us how we full package and fulfill and get the stuff out the door. You can get free hot chocolate, the best hot chocolate. Any person is gonna,
It's
any
Javier's recipe,
reasonable
man.
person is gonna go in there and say that's the best hot chocolate I ever had. So
We-
come over to the retail store, folks.
It's the hot chocolate's
Absolutely.
free. And Javier made like 10 jars of hot chocolate mix.
Mhm.
They sold out in like one day.
Yeah, the pre-mix, they're great.
Yeah,
They're
people
great.
had the hot chocolate, realized it was the best hot chocolate they ever had, and then wanted to buy the mix. So
It's
Yep.
too good. So come on
Yeah,
over
yeah.
and we want to extend our appreciation
yeah.
to all the folks that are listening, to all the folks that buy the chocolate, and to our man David for sitting in today and for becoming part of the family. We just appreciate it all to the maximum extent.
Yeah, and for the work on the jingle, man. Thank you,
And
David.
the good work on the jingle.
I didn't even reveal half of what I want, but if you let me end with the jingle, I'll give you a little more hint of
All right,
what
let's go.
okay.
All right.
Okay,
Ready?
let's outro
we're-
with the jingle and then we'll cut it.
Okay. Fortunato for, I say yeah, Fortunato for, it's so good.
That is pretty catchy, dude. It's pretty good. I love it.
I love it.
All right, everybody, we're going to sign off. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, bye.